We go straight to the Word of God, and that is in the book of 1 Kings. We know about Solomon. I want to pose the question again to you tonight, because probably you have already forgotten. When you hear about Solomon, what comes into your mind? When you hear about King Solomon, what comes into your mind? You can tell me, you can text me right there. What comes into your mind when you hear about King Solomon? Because this man is a great man. Most of us, when you hear the name Solomon mentioned, exactly, wisdom comes into your mind. You hear about wisdom. He was the wisest man to ever live. King Solomon is the wisest man that has ever lived. But why? Have you ever thought the reason behind the wisdom? Have you ever thought where the wisdom came from? Have you ever thought how King Solomon got to receive the wisdom? Because we hear about the wisdom so much, but there is something that King Solomon did, and that is what I want us to look at right now, right here. So let's go to the book of 1 Kings chapter 3 from verse 1. Solomon made an alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and married his daughter. He brought her to the city of David until he finished building his palace and the temple of the Lord and the wall around Jerusalem. The people, however, were still sacrificing at the high places because the temple had not yet been built for the name of the Lord. Solomon showed his love for the Lord by walking according to the instructions given him by his father David, except that he offered sacrifices and burnt incense on the high places. That is where David was burning incense and offering sacrifices. The king went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices, for that was the most important high place. And Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offering on the altar. Solomon had a culture of giving, and he offered 1,000 sacrifices. He offered 1,000 burnt offering on the altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream, and God said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." You get the point? That Solomon had gone to the high place, and this was the highest place that he had gone to, because he had a culture of offering and giving to the Lord. And at this particular moment, Solomon gave 1,000. This was a lot of sacrifice. This was a lot of offering. And because of the kind of offering that Solomon had given to God, God came to Solomon and said, "Ask whatever you want and I will give it to you." It is because of the sacrifice that Solomon gave to God. It is because of the offering that Solomon had given to God. And even after giving, Solomon never asked for anything. That is one thing you need to understand. Even after giving the 1,000 burnt offering, Solomon went to sleep. It is at Gibeon that the Lord appeared to Solomon. The Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream, and he said, "Ask for whatever you want," because the giving had touched the heart of God. The moment he touched the heart of God, just God out of his own way, he went and appeared to Solomon. Akamuliza, "Man, you guy, ask whatever you want and I will give it to you." Solomon answered, "You have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in heart. You have continued this great kindness to him and have given him a son to sit in his throne this very day. Now, Lord my God, look at that statement by Solomon. It's like he was thanking God on behalf of his father David, saying that you are so good to my father, not even for what he's doing currently. He said, you have been so good to my father. You have continued with your kindness. He's already thanking God right there. He's not yet even asked for anything, because God is here asking him, what do you want? If it were you, God amekuja saizi amekuuliza unataka nini, without even thanksgiving. The Bible says, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. David knew the art of thanksgiving. Solomon knew the place of thanksgiving in the heart of God. He knew God had already come to him and amwambia nipatie. Some of us tungesha ruka mbio mbio. Banange, God, you're here. Your servant is ready. Father, Lord, I've been waiting for you. What is it that you want me to? Father, you have seen the cry. Father, some of us will just run direct to monetary values. Ile nyumba ambayo hujamaliza pale ushago, you've already thought about it. You want $1 million. You're like, Father, Rutonomics is not Rutonomicsing. Hey, take me out of this country. Without even thanksgiving. Solomon knew the place of thanksgiving in the heart of God. And he said, you have shown great kindness to you. And ask, he's not even asked. Ask what you want. And he goes back to thanksgiving. Ask what you want. Go back to thanksgiving. Go back to thanksgiving. Thank the Lord even before he asks. And Solomon said, you have shown, you have continued. And now, my Lord, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. But I'm only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. I don't know. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people. Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people, and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours? He's asking, who's able? Just give me the ability to govern this people. And the Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for this. So God gave him. And he said, since you have asked for this, and not for long life or wealth for yourself, underline that, nor have you asked for the death of your enemies, but for the discernment and in administering justice, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Will there ever be anyone like you? Now, I want us to get to that point. God even added and said, moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for. He gave you abundance, more than what Solomon had asked God for. Abundance, both wealth and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. That is the promise that God did and gave to Solomon. But look at what the origin of that blessing is. Look at the origin and the chronology of events in that particular account. It was through the sacrifice of Solomon. Solomon went before the Lord and sacrificed 1,000 burnt offering. And even after sacrificing, he never asked God for anything. He did not ask God for anything. Some of us, even before we sacrifice, even before we give, tushasema. Even before we give, ushaenda pale. Ukozile za, yani Mungu. Okay, there's the seed offering. You can give for that. But most of the time, that is what we are doing. There's no time you go before the Lord and you just offer an offering, a great sacrifice, and you're not asking anything for God. We need to get to change our mentality that whenever we're going before God with a huge offering, quote unquote, is because there's something you want God to do for you. There is something you want God to do for you. You can never go before God and give 50,000 as offering. No, number two, God, me. No. Be good, be cool, God, be cool. I'm just giving you this as a thanksgiving. I'm just giving you this because you're God to me, because you're good to me. You just give it to God. But most of us, utapata the time you give 50,000 Kenya shillings is because you're aiming at a million bob somewhere. Kuna kadili unataka kaivane, so you go before the Lord because it's like you want to bribe God for that. Let us learn from Solomon right here. Solomon went and offered 1,000 burnt offering. And if you read through history, even his father David was a giver. I mean, he gave and he never asked for anything. And this touched the heart of God. God was pleased by Solomon. Na akaenda kamuliza, Solomon, what do you want me to do for you? Is there a time that God has ever asked you, unataka nini? Why can't we grow in giving that God can ask you, what do you want? Can God ask, unataka nini? Yeah? What do you want? My son, what do you want? Can we turn it around that God can ask you today, what do you want? That it's not all about us going before God and asking and telling God, give me this, that we can touch the heart of God with our offering, that we can touch the heart of God with our sacrifice, that we can touch the heart of God in our giving and even in giving ourselves, because the greatest sacrifice that you can give to the Lord is yourself. That you give yourself to God, that He will look at you and say, yo, Anunda, what do you want me to do for you? The reason why we're languishing in poverty, lack and want and pain is because most of the time, more often than not, after giving, we are asking. You give and ask. Mikono yetu iko hivi. You're like the government. Yeah, you give with the left one, you want to take with the right one. And that is how we've been dealing with God. Giving with the left, taking with the right one. It is my prayer and encouragement to you. Form a relationship with God like Solomon. Solomon never asked for anything even after giving that 1,000 sacrifice, 1,000 burnt offering. Just think, if it is a bull, 1,000 bulls at this hour, this time, bulls 1,000. One bull costs about 60,000 Kenya shillings. 60,000 times 1,000. How much is that? That's a lot of money. Even now, it touched the heart of God. So let's get away from this tendency of giving to God and then we are there, we are asking. Because I've given, Lord, look at this. It is not bad. It is not bad. Don't mistake me. There is the seed offering you can give and ask God. But most of us, we are just planned. It is a seed offering, year in, year out, Monday to Friday, Sunday. Even after the Lord blesses you, even after that seed, it may grow, it has produced fruit, you still go back with another seed. Yeah? Just sometimes just go before God. Offer yourself. Offer a sacrifice of praise. Offer a sacrifice with your finances and just tell the Lord, thank you. Thank you. And you will touch the heart of God. That is the reason why Solomon became the greatest and the wisest person in history until today, because he gave and never asked. Can you give and not ask?